Hi everyone, in this video we're gonna go ahead and view the posts sent to us by another user. So let's go ahead and let's see how we can implement this feature. So when the user create a post and then just generate a description, so now when the user clicks on one of these users, we send this data to that specific user, right? So now that user should be able to get those data and, for example, get the image, get the description, and see who has sent this data. But first, let me tell you something about the Firebase background operation. So I'm gonna open my Android project navigator. Let's go to this social media activity. And here where we are actually sending this data map actually to the server. Here I wanted to let you know that this process is being executed in the background. So it's not going to freeze the UI thread. And also, like the parse server, if you want to be notified when that process is finished, so after calling the set value method, you can call the add onComplete listener, and then you can just implement this onComplete listener interface. So when this saving process to the Firebase database is finished, it's gonna execute this onComplete method. And here we can say that if task dot is successful, then we can go ahead and show a toast message to the user and say that the data is sent to the target user. So social media activity.this, comma, and the text is going to be data sent, comma, length short dot show. So here I wanted to let you know that how you can be notified when a process is being executed. Okay, now we need to have another activity. So let's go ahead and let's open our Android project navigator. And now I want to create another item for my menu. So I'm gonna go to my menu folder, mymenu.xml, and then I'm gonna switch to the text tab. So let's create another item here, and let's change the ID to be view posts item, and the title should be view posts. And then let's go back to our social media activity and let's find the on options item selected method. So I'm gonna use the find tool of Android Studio. So here it is, the method, and then you can see that we have this logout item. So I'm gonna create another case. So case r.id.view posts item is selected. Then we are going to create an intent here. So I'm gonna say intent, new intent. So first we need to pass the context, which is going to be this, or social media activity.this, and then we are going to transition to view posts activity dot class. Or in order to make this a little bit more meaningful, you can change this name. For example, instead of saying view posts activity, we can say view sent posts. So I think this name is good. Now I can just hold down the Alt key and then press on the Enter key. So here you can see that it says that it can create a class for this one, but we need an activity. So in order to solve this problem, I'm just gonna copy this value, this name. I'm gonna open the project navigator, right click on this package, new activity. And by the way, you have another option in order to create an activity. And if you go to, for example, this activity, and then here select the gallery, and here you can choose the specific template that you want to use. So I'm going to choose empty activity, next, and the activity name that I'm going to specify is going to be view posts activity, and make sure that the language is Java and click on finish. So let's wait here, and if I go to the social media activity class, you can see that the problem with this name is solved. Now we need to put a semicolon here, and then we need to start the activity. And then we need to pass the intent. Okay, now let's go ahead and run our application. So if I click on view posts here, now we are transitioned to this activity. So now we need to go ahead and let me just close these files. We only need the view posts activity and the activity view posts.xml file. And then let's switch to the design tab. Now I'm going to drag a text view here at the top. So let me set the constraints. So let's set the text to be view the users that sent you posts. And then let's drag a list view. So I'm gonna just search for list view here and then drag it here. So let's add the constraints. Okay, and let's select this text view, and I'm gonna set the ID to be posts list view. Now let's go into our Java class and let's declare our list view, so private, and its type is going to be list view, and the name is going to be posts list view, semicolon. We also need an array list, so private array list. This array list is going to accept values of type string, and the name is going to be, for example, posts semicolon private. We also need an array adapter. So as you can see here, the autocomplete feature of Android Studio is not helping me here. That's because there is a missing curly brace here. So now if I try to write the array list, it's gonna help me to find it. So array list, or excuse me, we need to have an array adapter. Adapter, semicolon. Let's go inside the onCreate method and initialize our variables. So posts list view, assignment operator, find view by ID, r.id dot posts list view. Next, we need to initialize the array list, new array list, semicolon, and finally we need to initialize the adapter. So new array adapter. So now we need to pass the proper arguments to our array adapter. So first we need to pass the context and android.r.layout.simple list item, comma, and as the final argument we need to pass the model, which is going to be the posts. And finally we need to set the list view adapter. So I'm gonna say posts list view dot set adapter. It is going to be the adapter. So hopefully that makes sense. Now we simply need to go ahead and get the posts that are sent to the current user, to the current Firebase user. So this is going to be your challenge. Go ahead and find out how you can iterate over the specific posts or specific items of a specific user or a child in Firebase, and how you can populate your list view by getting those data. So give this challenge your best shot and good luck. So before solving this challenge, I'm going to go ahead and refactor my code a little bit. So let's change the name of this array list to usernames instead, because the user is going to get the usernames, and then we can click on each username in order to get the post sent by that username or user. So that's why it's better to change this name to usernames, and let's also change this one to usernames instead of post. And here we need to pass the usernames. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do some operation in the background. So first of all, we need to have a reference to the Firebase auth. I'm going to create a variable here, private Firebase auth, Firebase auth, semicolon. And then after calling this set content view inside this onCreate method, I'm going to say Firebase auth assignment operator, and then I can say that, for example, Firebase auth dot get instance, semicolon. Now we need to say that Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference. Now we are going to access the child, which is going to be the my underline users. Next, we are going to access another child, which is going to be the specific UID of that user, right? So let me show you the server. First, we have the my users child. Then we need to access this UID, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and access this value. So I'm gonna say dot child. So how we can access that UID? By using the Firebase auth. So Firebase auth dot get. So we can see that we have this method UID, but first we need to access the current user, and then we are going to access the UID of the Firebase user. So in this way, we are going to access the UID of the current Firebase user. Next, we are going to access the posts sent to the current user. So I'm gonna say, so let me show you the server first. So now we could access this UID, right? And now that we accessed this UID, we are going to access the received post here, this children, or this child actually. We have two childs here. So the first one is the received posts, and the second one is the username. So we are going to access this one. Let's go back to Android Studio. So I'm gonna say dot child. So the name of the child is going to be received underline posts. Now I am going to say dot add child event listener, and then I'm gonna put new child event listener. So when a child is added to that specific key in the server here, so now we could access these received posts, and when a value is added to these received posts, we are going to be notified inside the onChild added method here. So notice that we have access to the data snapshot, the specific object that we have as a child of these received posts. So now we simply need to go ahead and access the username. So I'm going to say string, and here the name of our variable is going to be from whom username, because we want to see who has sent us this post. So that's why this value is here, from whom. And then let's go back to Android Studio. So from whom username, assignment operator, let's refer to this data snapshot dot child. So we want to get the value of a specific key. So what is going to be the key? The key is going to be the from whom, and then we are going to get the value of this key. So dot get value, semicolon. So we are going to access this child of this received posts child, and then we are going to access the value of this key from whom dot get value. But here we need to cast this object or this value to a string value because we are assigning this value to a variable of type string. Now that we have this username or from whom username, I'm gonna refer to our usernames array list dot add, and I'm gonna add the from whom username to our array list, semicolon. Okay, now we need to let our list view know that the data is changed or a data is added to the array list. So I'm gonna refer to our adapter dot notify data set changed. Now we should be able to go ahead and run our application and see whether a post is sent to us or not. But first, it seems that we need to put a semicolon at the end of this parenthesis. Now let's run our application and see what happens. So let's go ahead and select an image. Okay, let's create an image post. So next, let's go ahead and specify a description. I'm gonna say awesome. And then let's send this one to ourselves so we can view the post here. So we know that we are logged in as, I think I am logged in as Frank. So it says data sent. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click on view posts. So here you can see that a post sent to us from Frank or from ourselves actually. So it says view the users that sent you posts. So now let's go ahead and change this layout. So we have the list view at the bottom, and here we have an image view and a text view that is going to represent the image and the description that is sent to us by that user that we have inside the list view. So let's go back to Android Studio and let's go to this activity underline posts.xml file, switch to the text tab, and let's use linear layout instead of constraint layout. So I'm going to type in here linear layout, and then let's go ahead and switch to the design tab. So now we need to change the orientation of our linear layout here to vertical because by default it is horizontal. Now if I switch to the design tab, you can see these values here. And first let's go ahead and delete these attributes that are related to the constraint layout because we don't need them here, and also for this list view. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drag an image view here. So I'm gonna search for image view, and I'm gonna put it here between this text view and this list view. So I'm gonna choose the placeholder image here and click on OK. Next, I'm gonna select this image view and set the layout height to be 150 dp. Okay, and then let's go ahead and drag another text view here. So make sure to put it here between this list view and this image view, and I'm gonna set an ID for this text view. It is going to be txt description. And also let's set the gravity attribute of this list view to be center. So I'm gonna search for gravity, and I'm gonna change the text position of this text view to be at the center. So let's find center and check this checkbox. Okay. Now I think everything is fine. Let's select this image view and let's say that the ID to be sent post image view. So everything is fine. Now let's go to our view posts activity class, and then let's declare our UI components. So first we have an image view, and the name is going to be sent post image view. And then we have a text view. So private text view, txt sent post, semicolon. Now inside the onCreate method, let's go ahead and initialize our UI components. So after calling the set content view, I'm gonna initialize the sent post image view first. Find view by ID r.id dot sent post image view, and the txt, excuse me, we need to change the name of this variable to txt description. Txt description, and it should be txt description. Find view by ID r.id dot txt description, semicolon. So now that we have accessed our image view and our text view, now it's time to go ahead, and when the user clicks on, for example, Frank, then we should go ahead and get the image from the received post and show it on the image view, and we also need to go ahead and get the description. So this is your challenge. Go ahead and give this challenge your best shot, and good luck. Okay, so first of all, in order to solve this challenge, we need to have an array list that is going to contain objects of type data snapshot. Because of this onChild added method, you can see that we have this parameter data snapshot. So we are calling this add child event listener on our received posts. So this means that we are going to get all of the objects that we have as child of these received posts as a data snapshot. So now let's go ahead and create another instance variable here, private, and I'm gonna specify the type to be array list that is going to contain objects of type data snapshot, and the name is going to be data snapshots, semicolon. Now let's go down here, and inside this onChild added method, before creating this from whom username, I'm gonna say data snapshots dot add data snapshot, semicolon. So each data snapshot that is added as a child of our received posts, what I mean is, for example, the objects that we get here as the child of these received posts, we are going to have each object that is added as a child of these received posts. And then we can go ahead and access its data. For example, its description, from whom, image identifier, and the image link. So we are going to use this image link in order to download the image and show it on our image view. So if you go ahead and run your application here, you should be able to see that we have, so if I click on view posts, you can see that we have this image view, and then so it's showing us an error here because of this background task that is being executed. So now here I want to tell you that when I click on this view posts, now it should go ahead. So the reason that our application is crashing is that we haven't initialized our data snapshots array list inside our onCreate method. So after setting the adapter of our posts list view, I'm gonna refer to this data snapshots assignment operator, new array list, semicolon. So let me run the app again. So if I click on this view posts, you can see that now we are going to get a user from the server, for example, Frank. So Frank has sent us an object that is going to be stored as the child of the received posts. So I want, when I click on Frank, I want to get that image from the received post sent by Frank, and then I want to download that image and show it on our image view. And I want to also get the description. So that's why we needed this data snapshots array list here. So we can actually have the data snapshots inside our array list. And now that we have these data snapshots, we can go ahead and specify an onItem click listener for our list view. So inside our onCreate method, I'm gonna refer to these posts list view that set onItem click listener new, or let's pass the value this, and let's allow the class to implement this interface. So implements adapter view dot onItem click listener, and let's go ahead and implement this abstract method onItem click method. So now we need to access the data snapshot that is related to the item that is clicked. So notice that we get this value Frank from the from whom key of the received post. So here, let me show you that we are accessing the my users, and then we are accessing the UID of that user, and then we are accessing the received post here, and then inside this onChild added, we are accessing the from whom value, and we are setting that value as the value of our array list, and we are updating our list view based on the values that we have inside this usernames array list, right? So now we also have this data snapshot inside our array list. So let's go inside this onItem click method. First, we need to have a variable of type data snapshot, and the name is going to be my data snapshot. Assignment operator. Now I am going to refer to the data snapshots dot get. So we already have the position from this onItem click method. So I am going to pass the position to this get. So in this way, when an item is clicked on this list view, we are going to get the specific data snapshot that is related to this item. Okay. And then we are going to assign it to this my data snapshot, right? Now we need to have access to the download link of this item that we have inside our list view. So this is a post that is sent by Frank. So we need to have also access to the download link that is sent by this user. So I am going to create another variable, string download link. So now I am going to put an assignment operator. How we can get the download link? By using the my data snapshot dot child. So here, let me tell you that this my data snapshot is actually referring to this received posts child. So here we are going to access the download link. We need to access the key image link. So that's why here we need to go ahead and say we want to access the child image link, and we want to access the value of this child or this key. So I'm going to say get value, semicolon. So because this is our variable of type string, we need to go ahead and just cast it to a string value. We are simply casting this image link to a string value. Now that we have this download link, we can use it in order to download the image and show it on our image view. So here we are going to use the Picasso library. And I'm gonna search for Picasso library. And then here you can see the link, Picasso, Square open source. And then we need to have access to this dependency code. So at the bottom, you can see the Gradle code. I'm going to copy this value and I'm going to go to my Android Studio. So let's go ahead and open the Gradle scripts module app. And then let's go to the dependencies block and paste this line of code. Now let's go and click on Sync Now. The reason that I am going to use the Picasso library is that it's very simple to download an image using this library. By just writing one line of code, we can download an image and put it as the image of our image view. It's very helpful. So I'm going to go to my, so let's wait until this Gradle project sync process is finished and then we can continue. Okay, now let's go into the view posts activity. And then I'm going to say Picasso. So I'm going to call the we need to go back to our Picasso library website. And here we need to say picasso.get.load. So let me just copy this line of code. And then let's go here. So here, let me tell you that whenever that you add a library to your project, make sure that you read the documentation because the library might get updated. So that's why I am going to use the line of code that I get from the website. So picasso.get.load. Here we need to add the download link. So we already have the download link. We are going to pass the download link here into the image view. So I am going to say, I think it is sent post image view. Okay. And also we need to specify a text for our text view. So txt description dot set text. And in order to access the text, I'm going to refer to our my data snapshot dot child. So we need to go to our server and see what is the value or the key. This is going to be the this as the key of our description. So I am going to go back to my project. And here, the child is going to be this dot get value. So I'm going to call the get value method here on this child. So now, because it is of type object, so let me show you what is going to be the return value of this get value. Here, this get value method returns a value of type object, but this set text method needs a value of type string. So that's why I am going to put a pair of parentheses before this my data snapshot, and I am going to type in here string in order to cast the value that we get from this operation, my data snapshot.child.get value, and we are going to convert it to a string. So that's it. Now let's go ahead and run our application and see what happens. Okay, now let's go and click on the view posts. So let's wait here so that we can see the front. And I'm going to click on front. You can see that the text or the description is changed to awesome. Now it's going to go ahead and download the image from the server. So let's wait and see what happens. And here you can see the image inside of our image view. So the final feature that I want to add to the application is that when the user long click on an item inside our list view, then I am going to delete that item. I am going to delete that post completely. So in order to solve this problem, first of all, our class, the view posts activity class, must implement the adapter view dot on long click listener interface. And then we need to implement the abstract method. So inside this on click or inside this on long click method, here we need to put our codes. So here you can see that this is not the method that we are looking for. We are looking for the on long click item, or let me change this one to on item long click, excuse me. So now let me implement this abstract method. And let me delete this on long click method. So first of all, when we long click on an item, I want to show an alert dialog. So if you go to your web browser, you can search for how to create alert dialog in Android. And I'm going to click on this link on Stack Overflow. So here it says you could use the alert builder for this. So I'm going to just copy all of these codes, and I'm going to go to my Android Studio, and then I'm going to paste these codes here. So first you can see that we have the alert dialog.builder, then we have the if build.version.stk_int is greater than or equal to the build.version codes.lollipop. So this means that if the operating system or the version of the operating system of the user's device is lollipop or above, then it's going to go ahead and initialize the builder like this. So builder new alert dialog.builder. As the context, we need to pass our own context. I'm going to pass this. And as the second argument, it's going to pass android.art.style theme material dialog alert. So this is related to material design. So as you may already know, material design is added to Android from Android Lollipop. So that's why if the user's device operating system is Lollipop or above, then we are going to show alert dialog material design style. And if that is not the case, then we are going to show the regular alert dialog. It is just related to the style of the material, or excuse me, the alert dialog. So here we need to pass the context, this, and then we say builder.set title. So the title of our alert dialog is going to be delete entry. So this is a proper title for our use because we want to delete this post. And the message is going to be, are you sure you want to delete this entry? And then we are going to have a button inside our alert dialog. The set positive button is going to be the yes button. And this means that when the user taps on this button, we are going to delete that entry. So as the second argument, we are going to implement the new dialog interface.onClickListener, and then we need to go ahead and implement this onClick method. We also have a set negative button, and its text is no, and it also has this interface, dialog interface.onClickListener. So next we are having this set icon and the show method. So now let's go ahead and run our application and make sure that everything works fine. But before that, we need to go to our onCreate method, and we need to let our list view know that the current class is going to be the listener of the LON item click. So I'm going to say set on LON or set on item LON click listener, this. Now let's go ahead and run our application. So let's click on view posts, and now we should see Frank here. And if I long click on Frank, we are going to see this delete entry, and it says, are you sure you want to delete this entry? And here we have two buttons. We have the cancel button and we have the OK button. So when we tap on the OK button, we are going to delete this post. So let's go here. Let's go into our onClick method for the set positive button. So here I have pasted these lines of code. First of all, we want to delete the value or the post from the server, from our database. So for example, this received posts, and here it is the post that we want to delete. So here we need to go and say that Firebase database .get instance .get reference. Then we are going to access the app users. Then we are going to access the child of these app users, which is going to be the Firebase auth .get current user .get UID. So we are going to access this UID of the child of this my user. So here it is the UID that we want to access. When we access this, we can access the received posts. So now we have the Firebase auth.get current user.get UID. Then we are going to call .child, and now we want to access the received posts, and then we want to access the child of this received post and delete it. So we are going to call .child. Now we need to go ahead and delete the specific child that is related to the data snapshot that is clicked or tapped. So here, let me tell you that. Let me show you the server. For example, now we access the received posts. Now we are going to access this key, right? Now, in order to access this key, you know that we have the data snapshot, right? The data snapshot is going to contain this object. So when we say data snapshot.get key, it is going to give us this key here, and then we can delete it completely. So when we delete this key, all of its children will be deleted too. So here, I am accessing the received posts, and then I am accessing the data snapshots, the array list, .get the data snapshot of that is related to the position of the item that is tapped or long clicked. And then we are going to get that key here, and then we are going to say remove value. So when we say remove value, it's going to completely remove that key and all of its values or children. So in this way, we deleted that value from our database. We need to also delete that image from our Firebase storage here. So when we click on this storage, we should also delete that image that we have inside this folder. So my images, and we need to delete that image that is related to that specific post that the user wants to delete. So in order to do that, we need to go to our Android Studio. So after deleting this data from the database, and now I have added these lines of code here. So I have referred to the Firebase storage, .get instance, .get reference, .child my images, .child. So now we need to refer to the name of that specific image that we want to delete. So we get that name from our data snapshots. So we are going to refer to data snapshots .get the position of the data snapshot that the user has actually long clicked. So this is the index that we pass, so we can access the proper data snapshot .child, and now we can access the value of this image identifier that we have inside the server. So here, if I go to the server and here show you that inside the database, you can see that for the image identifier, we have the name of that image that we are going to delete. So that's why we also sent the image identifier to this received post. Here it is the name of the image. So we also have this name of the image inside the authentication, or excuse me, inside the storage. So inside this storage, we have this image name here. So by referring to that name, we want to delete that image. So let me go back to my Firebase. So that's why we are passing the image identifier in order to get the value of this key. And then we are going to call .delete. But here, let me tell you that because first we are deleting the database or the object that we have as the child of this received post, and then we are deleting the image itself, because we are getting the image identifier from our Firebase database, it's better to first delete the image and then delete the post from our database. So first we are going to access the Firebase storage, and then we are going to access the image name that we get from the data snapshot. And you know that the data snapshot is also from the Firebase database. So we get the data snapshots from the Firebase database. So that's why we can access the image identifier of that data snapshot, and then we are going to get that value and delete it from our Firebase storage. And after this image is deleted from the Firebase storage, we are going to delete this post from our Firebase database by using these values. Now that this problem is solved, I am going to go ahead and run our application and make sure that everything works well. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on View Posts. Now it should show us Frank here. So now if I click on Frank, now it's going to go ahead and put the image that we get from the Frank here inside of our image view. Now I'm going to long click on Frank and I'm going to click on OK. So you can see that we clicked on OK and it should be deleted from the server. Nothing is happened here. We are going to solve this problem in a moment. But if I go to the server, you should see that if I switch to the database, now Frank doesn't have any received posts. So let me show you that here. So here you can see that I have opened this user and the username is Frank, but we still can see the received posts here. So this means that there is something wrong with our code. So let's go back to Android Studio and let's go ahead and find out what we have done wrong here. So here you can see that for this child app users, this is not the name of the child of the root database. So if I go to the server, you can see that first we have the root of the database and the child of this root is my underline users, not app users. So this is a common error among beginners. Make sure that you refer to the proper name, to the proper key. So here I need to say my underline users. So that was my problem. Now let's go ahead and run our app again. So this time let me show you the server and the emulator. Now I'm gonna click on View Posts and now it should show us the Frank. Let's see. So if I click on Frank, it's gonna go ahead and get the image. But if I long click on Frank, it says delete entry. Are you sure you want to delete this entry? And now if I go ahead and click on OK, it should delete this received post with this specific key here that we get from the Frank. So let me click on OK. So now you can see that in the server, it is now deleted. But here we are still getting the data, and that is not a good user experience. We should also update our layout. So in order to solve this problem, we need to go to Android Studio, and then we need to go to the method onChildRemoved, to this method that we get from this Firebase database here. You can see that we are calling this add a child event listener on the received posts in order to get the data, right? But now we need to go to the onChildRemoved method. So here you can see that we have access to the data snapshot. And now I'm gonna say, so first let me tell you that whenever a child or an object from the server is deleted from our database, this onChildRemoved method is going to be called. So we use this method in order to update our layout. So here first we have a variable and its name is integer. And we are assigning the value 0 to our variable. Next we have a for loop and we are going to iterate over the data snapshot objects that we get as an array list. So we created this array list inside our class and we initialized this array list inside the onChildAdded method. And we want to loop through this array list, this array. Inside this for loop, we have this if statement. We are saying that if the snapshot dot the get key dot equals, so the get key is going to be the key that we get from the received post. So in the server, you can see that, for example, a user that has a received post, this key is going to be the key of the snapshot. because we are actually adding the child event listener to the childs of the received posts. Let me show you the code here. So you can see that I have added this add child event listener to the received posts. Okay, so that's why here I am saying that if the snapshot that we get from this array list dot get key dot equals to the data snapshot that we get from this onChild removed method dot get key, so this means that if the data snapshot that is deleted is equal to the data snapshot that we get from this array list when we are looping through it, then in that case, this means that we need to go ahead and delete that data snapshot from our array list. So here I'm saying that data snapshots dot remove the index value, the value of the index that we specified here. So notice that inside this for loop, each time this for loop is getting executed, we are adding one value to the value of I. Okay, so it is going to delete that object related to that specific index from our array list, and we are going to also delete that username that has sent that post, or from whom value. So we are going to delete that value from our username's array list. And finally, after this for loop, we are going to let the adapter know that the data is changed, so it's gonna update the list view accordingly. So adapter.notify dataset changed. So now let's go ahead and run our application, and I'm gonna click on view posts. So there is nothing here because we have deleted the data from Frank. So I'm gonna just create a new post. Let's click on this button. So now it says uploading process was successful. So now let's just type in here a description, and let's send this to ourselves so we can see the data. Let's click on Frank, and then it says data sent. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click on view posts, and then I'm gonna click on Frank. So let's make sure that we actually get the image here. First, we are getting the description. Now let's go ahead and see the image. So here it is, the image. Now I'm gonna go ahead and long click on Frank, and I'm gonna click on OK. So the list view is updated here, okay? But now we need to also update our image view. So I'm gonna refer to our sent post image view dot set image resource r.drawable.placeholder. Okay, now let's go ahead and run our app again and make sure that everything is working fine. So here, notice that when I click on view posts, we won't see Frank here anymore because it is already deleted. That means that we need to go ahead and create a new post, and then let's type a description. So for example, I can say great, and then let's choose the Frank. Now it should say that data sent. Let's go to the view posts, and then if you click on Frank, it should go ahead and download the image. But when I long click on Frank, so first let's make sure that we get the image here and then delete the post completely. So let's long click on this Frank and let's click on OK. So the text is gone, excuse me, the list view is updated, the image is updated, but now we need to also update our text view. So I'm gonna say txt description.set text empty string value. So let's go ahead and run our app again. So now let's create a new post, create an image post, and let's type in a description. So I can say great app, and I'm gonna select Frank. So data sent. Now I'm gonna click on view posts, and then I'm gonna click on Frank, and now I'm gonna long click on Frank and I'm gonna click on OK. So you can see that everything is working perfectly. And let's also set the layout gravity of this text view to be center horizontal. Let's go to our XML file, select this text view, and then let's find the layout gravity attribute here, and let's choose this center horizontal. So here it is, the checkbox. Now I think it's more beautiful. If you want to, you can add some margin values in order to increase the outer distance of these layouts. So congratulations, you have created your own social media app using the Firebase system. So thank you very much for watching. You have done a great job building this application together, and I look forward to seeing you in the next section.